Here we go. Here we go.
What's going on, Anthony? What's going on, True Living Tribe? How's everybody doing tonight?
What's
up? What's on, man?
Love the intro.
Oh man, so super special shout out to Len, our man. Anthony, what did you think of what he did this weekend?
Amazing. If you did not see Len Davis, award-winning Hollywood producer, award-winning director, with Doug O'Brien, one of the top NLP therapists in the world, trained by Tony Robbins, partners at one point working with Dr. Oz and all these people, you need to see it. You need to get the replay. All right. It was amazing.
We had such a good time, man. Absolutely amazing. And I got to give Len a shout out for making our awesome introduction. He just sent it over to me. He is amazing. Len, I know that you're watching this right now. You are the man.
We appreciate you, brother.
Yeah. Now, Anthony, tonight we have a very special show for all the ladies and gentlemen out there who are living in corporate America, thinking about getting out, people that are out of corporate America thinking that are getting in, and anybody that is looking to live life at their fullest expression. I mean, I am super pumped to invite Karin out here. What are your thoughts here, Anthony?
I think she's fantastic. I mean, so, I met Karin through the great Gary Krebs, and we've had Gary on as a guest. Gary's an award-winning author and, publishing legend for 30 years. And, he was like editor of the Guinness Book of World Records and, the Idiot Guide series and every name you can imagine he's worked with in the book world. And he said the highest compliments possible about Karin, and he was right about every single one of them. She's become a dear friend, and she has a lot of great things going on, so I cannot wait.
Yeah, she's amazing. She's absolutely amazing. And as you guys are going to see, she is an exemplary example of full self-expression, right? I know. Yeah, right. So she's an author, a speaker. She is, I almost said songwriter there. Maybe we'll get her to sing for you. I don't know, Karin. She's backstage right now. She's like, no, not today. No, she's an author. She's a speaker. She's a professional self-expression coach. And she is yours tonight. We're looking forward to pulling her out here. Why don't everybody just give a warm round of applause to Karin? Let me get her out here. Karin, what's going on?
Hi, thank you so much for having me. It's so good to be here with you guys.
Oh my God, it's an honor to have you. Let me drop you in there. So Karin, welcome to the True Living Show. You've been a member, you've been on the you've been in the background, and now you're here. Welcome.
Thank you. It's like a dream come true. I feel like I really made it now that I'm here. It's great.
You have. Hollywood's calling.
Hollywood's calling. Yeah, well, which we're going to talk about later on in a very real way.
Actually, they are.
So Anthony, why don't you? I don't even know where to begin, Karin. I think that you've got such a great story. I mean, you personally have a great story. You've turned it into a book. I know. Well, let me ask you, where did your journey begin? I mean, we've got this provocative title here called The Ins and Outs of My Vagina. How did that happen?
Yes, great question, because it's a question I get a lot. So let's rewind for a second. A lot better
when you say it, by the way. A lot better when you say it than him.
Yeah, I know. It's a little awkward. We're all getting used to it.
Everyone that's
we're going to say vagina a lot today.
Yeah, it's PG. We're keeping this PG for the most part. Yeah, for the most part.
Probably.
Yes, probably.
Okay.
So let me take you back for a second to like 2008, 2009. I'm pregnant with my first son and I have to go to the OB. And I'm like 8 months along, so like waddling in. And this is all in the book, so I won't give away all the details. But my doctor explains to me that women can tear when they're giving birth. And of course, my eyes are like, what did you say? Tear? What do you mean tear? So I'm like starting to panic. And she's like, don't worry. I have this great tip for you. All you have to do is put some olive oil on your fingers and just gently stretch yourself out. So it will help your skin. And I was like, yeah, okay, lady. Thanks for the advice. Like, I'm never doing that. That's ridiculous. So I leave the appointment, waddle back to my car, go home. And I don't know, maybe like 2 or 3 weeks later, my husband was working overnight. shifts. And so I was home by myself, and I don't know, I probably just got bored or something. And I was like, maybe I'll try that olive oil thing. So I get the olive oil and I go in the bathroom and I try my hardest to figure out how to do this. And I can't get my fingers in the right position. Like nothing's working. There's olive oil flying everywhere. And I'm like, okay, forget this. We're done. This is not happening. If I tear, I tear. Like, I don't know what to tell you. So I leave the bathroom like a complete disaster. And my husband comes home and he's like, what happened in the bathroom? And I'm like, I tried this thing. And he was just like, oh my gosh, you know what you should do? You should write a book and you should call it, I Don't Know My Vagina, because it is clear you have no idea how this thing works. And I was thinking like, that's dumb. Like why would I write a book about my vagina? What would I even say? Well, turns out he was right. I started thinking and brainstorming of all the things that me and V have been through, who is my vagina in the book is given a name. It's a character, V. And I thought, wow, I actually have a book here. So I just started writing. And, this was 2009. And so, of course, I went back to corporate after maternity leave, and the book kind of took a back seat. And then finally, like a year or so ago, I had a midlife crisis, which we can talk about if you want. And I realized, like, what is the thing that I have to do before I leave this earth? And I just settled on this book. Just something was calling my attention to it. And I was like, I have to finish this book. And so I am.
Now,
It's
Karin.
your dharma. It's your dharma.
Yeah.
My dharma. Well, okay. So give me a little bit more about this midlife crisis. So what happened between the time that you decided to write this book and where you are today?
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Amazing beginning of the story, though. Freaking amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. I'll never look at olive oil the same ever again, and I'm Italian, so thank you very much.
I'm sorry. I know next time you're dipping that bread, you're going to be like, oh, why? Sorry. Yeah, but I mean, if we're going to dive right in, like, I mean, the book is called The Ins and Outs. Like, we're going to cover it all. So we get pretty real pretty fast.
You're either in or you're out. Let's go, girl.
There you go. So maybe that's a good way to segue into corporate, right? You're like, you're in or you're out. And there was just such a long period of time that I was so in. I was all in. I thought I was so important. I was like, I have a big title and I have a nice big job and I'm, they need me. And I just like literally threw every ounce of me and my being into this job to the point where everything else suffered. My relationship with my husband, with my kids, with my family, with my friends. Like I just worked and it was all I knew. I don't know. It was just, it did excite me at one point, but I think after a while, the shine was gone. It stopped being fun. I didn't feel creative anymore. And I always say to people, and I think this resonates with a lot of people, and if you're in corporate, it may resonate for you too, but the thought of making one more PowerPoint to justify my existence was more than I could bear. And it was like wearing on me every day. And I went to Vegas for a trade show that I had been working for months on as a part of my marketing role. And while I was there, I was just like, I don't even want to go to any of these events. I personally don't like Vegas. It's not my thing. No offense to anyone who loves Vegas, but I just can't if I hear that slot machine dinging one more time, like I can't. So I snuck off and I went and I saw the Jabberwockies perform. So I was a dance major in college. So anytime I get to go watch dancers, I'm like, yes. So I went and saw them perform and they did Kid Cudi's song, The Pursuit of Happiness. And if you've ever listened to that song with Drake, it's like all about like everything that shines isn't really gold. And, you're on the pursuit of happiness. And, this song became like my anthem. And I just realized in that moment, like I am the Walking Dead. Life is happening to me every day. I get up, I go to work, I do the same stuff, and I'm not really participating in it. I don't enjoy it. I just feel blah. It's really horrible. I don't wish a midlife crisis on anyone, actually. It took a lot of my spark away, and there was just a long period of time, maybe 8 months or so, that really, I just kind of walked around in a funk. I was sad. I was angry. And I didn't really know why. I mean, I don't know if you guys have ever experienced this, but when someone looks at you from the outside in and they think you have it all, you feel a little guilty for being discontent with your life. So people would look at me and go, oh, well, you're making 6 figures and you have a nice Benz and you have a house and you have a this and a that and, a great marriage and 2 wonderful children. Like, how could you not be happy? And I did feel guilty. Like, how dare I be discontent? Like, if any, like, I have it so good. I'm so fortunate. I'm so blessed. And I'm so fortunate. But there was something missing. Like, it just didn't make me tick. It just didn't fill me up inside. And then when the book when I finally did some hard work with a mentor of mine, who offered to coach me for free, which was really amazing. So I always like to pay it forward, and you never know who from your network's going to step up. And she really helped me work through, like, what are my top 5 priorities? What are my top 5 life goals? And then how do I make sure I'm spending that right amount of time on those things?
Yeah, it's amazing. I think that everyone can relate to that moment where you're out there, you're looking to accomplish something, you get it, and then you're like, hold on, this was empty and meaningless relative to what I thought. When I didn't have it, it was everything I wanted, and now that I have it, I feel like I'm left holding an empty bag.
100%. The money wears off so fast. Mm-hmm. And that was the thing that I kept chasing, right? The money, the title, and I would get it, and I would be like, this is so great, and I'm so excited. And then I'd be like, why do I still feel empty inside?
Yeah. Well, and then there's the journey. So, and what's interesting about that, Karin, at least for me, what I've noticed is some people get it and they get it right away, you know, and then other people, they keep moving that carrot further and further and further away. And then it's an even bigger house. And I think one of the things that I would say that is very distinct for you, relative to other people is that you got it. And when you got it, you really got that lesson universally. It wasn't like you just switched from one carrot to another. And I know that kind of is who you are in the community, being out there, being a stand that people, get out there and live their life, but they live their life not chasing that carrot, live it, fully self-expressed in who you really truly are, which I think is an interesting proposition, because most people, I would argue, don't really know who they are because they haven't ever taken the time to really get to know themselves.
Yeah. Oh, that was big for me. Like, I knew so much who I was when I graduated college. I was a dancer and I moved to Miami and I was pursuing acting, and I knew what I liked, what I enjoyed, the music that I liked, what I liked to do with my friends, and everything just felt like the world was my oyster. And then once I sort of dug myself in deeper and deeper and deeper in corporate, all I did was work, and I forgot who I was and what I enjoyed.
Yeah,
it's really crazy. And so, when I first kind of sat down to do the hard work of like, what do I want to do? One of the things that was on my list was dance. And I was like, nobody's hiring a 40-year-old dancer. I still got moves, don't get me wrong. Okay, you could take me to the club any night, but no one's hiring me. I'm not going on tour with, Beyonce or something. So it's like, this isn't going to be how I make my money, but living your passion doesn't always have to be a monetary thing. It certainly could be, but I just do like YouTube dance workouts now, and I get my dance in and it fulfills me and it's part of my life and who I am, but it doesn't mean that that's all I can do and it has to be 24/7 and that I'm actually profiting from it. So I just think so many times when I talk to my clients in my coaching business, they're like, yeah, I really love sewing, but I don't think I can knit enough bonnets to pay for my rent. And I'm like, you don't necessarily have to. Right. That might be your passion. It doesn't mean that that's your life's purpose and that's all you ever do. So, we just have to work around that sometimes because it's a misconception.
Yeah, the whole collapse of passion with purpose. The idea that what you do for yourself is what you should be doing for others.
Right. Yes, you said that so much more eloquently than I did. Thank you.
Gotta pull those two apart, you know? And what, you know, and let me just speak into that for a moment. You know, like what one of the things that happens to us as entrepreneurs when we're out there and we're really driving our business forward is we take this technician role that we're really good at, you know, like you said, the sewer, right? And we go there, we learn how to sew, we learn how to make a business around sewing. And then one day, because we're so passionate about it, we've kind of lost our drive behind it, because now you can't just sew, because owning a business isn't just sewing, it's marketing and it's sales and it's blah, 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 blah. And then I think what I know takes place, other than the overwhelm and the loss of passion, is we then, how do I put this eloquently? How do I put this? It's kind of like we, outside of losing ourselves, we then feel like there's a failure, that when there's a failure in the business, we take it personally, because it's almost like a failure for us to fulfill on our own personal passion for ourselves. It's almost like a musician that writes the song and he wrote the song for himself. And then when nobody likes the song, he feels like, well, the song's less valuable because nobody liked it. When the real fulfillment of the song was in the gift that you give yourself. And I would say, like, one of the things that I love about your story, Karin, is that, you know, you started this book and it was like you were writing it. And I don't know if in your head, were you writing it for the masses, or were you writing it for yourself and then it just caught on to the masses?
Yeah, it was a little bit of both, to be honest. It definitely started out, I think, a little bit more as my own self-expression and just kind of like thinking through things. But me being a creative and kind of always having that acting background, I mean, I definitely saw a path to turning this into something bigger and something more, which has been so much fun. I mean, I just think about, like, holy crap, if this were, 8 months ago, right now, I would have been making a PowerPoint for someone and right in my kitchen table, like, oh my gosh, screaming at the kids, like, get ready for bed, get in the shower, and PowerPoint. And now it's like, I'm talking to Hollywood producers. I'm like, talking to you guys. Like, I mean, I'm writing blogs. I'm just, all over Instagram, having a blast. And I'm thinking, like, oh my gosh, if I hadn't bet on myself, I would still be doing that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's scary. And so I know, bet on yourself, right? For once, I am taking a gamble and saying, you know what? I bet I can succeed at this.
Amen. I know, I get it. Anthony, is there a time that you could think of that you bet on yourself?
Oh, absolutely. Well, first of all, like Tony Robbins always says, right? Success without fulfillment is failure, right? So if you succeed and you're not fulfilled, right? They said that's the ultimate failure. You look at NASA, right? All these people that went to the moon, these guys, these girls, and they, would work 16-hour, 18-hour days, and then would go to the diner afterwards, talking another 2-3 hours, so 20 hours in a day, right? And about how they're going to go to the moon. They're going to go to the moon. They're so excited, what it's going to look like, what it's going to feel like, what it's going to, all these experiences that they're going to experience while being up there, right? They go to the moon, and then they come back, and it's that old saying that came from that, I went to the moon and back, right? But then it's like, what was the next endeavor? What was the next mountaintop, right? So sometimes we hit it and we're not really fulfilled. And it goes down to, one of my original mentors, actually my original mentors in town, and he introduced me to a gentleman named Denny who mentored him, who was the right-hand man of a gentleman named Orrin Woodward. Orrin's one of the top 6 speakers in the world. And Orrin would always talk about the F's of life, right? And I've worked with many professional athletes and, all people from all walks of life. And you see them on a scale 1 to 10 finances, right? The F of life called finance, so like a 10, right? F of life called family. Some of them, they're like a 1, right? And they're just not happy. They got all the money in the world, but their family hates them. Maybe they got all the money in the world, the family loves them, and their friends love them, right? Another F, or they don't have great health, right? Fitness, the F of life called fitness. Maybe they got all those things, but, they still feel empty. It's like, well, what's their footprint? Or, okay, what's their fun for themselves? What's their following? And it's just so interesting, So I always say life's the balance of the F's. But at the end of the day, I mean, absolutely, I myself, you guys know, I'm healing from a, very bad accident, right? Very bad accident where I didn't remember a lot for a year, 8 months, almost 2 years. And I met Mike, and Mike's been helping. And, today was a rougher day, to be honest with you, health-wise. It just was. I picked up my friend at the airport, felt spinny, being there. And but I want to be on stage with Tony Robbins right now, and I'm not right now, but I will be, right? I truly believe I will be. We had a great show with his, partner yesterday, his old partner for almost a decade, right? It's just phenomenal. So at the end of the day, is that you have to, yes, set yourself where you want to be, and once you do it, right before you do it, well, I should say, right before you do it or when you do it, give yourself a little bit of celebration time, right? It's a big war at the end of the day, right? And when you win a battle, celebrate that battle until you get to the end where you win the big war, right? But then reset what the next mountaintop is. That's what it's about. Resetting and recalibrating, and that's what you've done. And a lot of people go through, I don't think you're old enough for a midlife crisis, but I would say quarter life crisis. A lot of people go through that. They
people say that all the time. I'm 40. So shocker. Sorry, I burst everybody's bubble. The Botox works wonders. I'm telling you.
Yes.
But, I'm lucky if only half of my life is over at 40. We don't know. Tomorrow's not promised. And I think what happened for me is I had 2 deaths in the family. They were older. They'd lived a great life, but it didn't make it any easier for me. And it really just triggered something in me. And I just had this fear that I was wasting my life. And like, what was I going to look back and say I accomplished?
And I just want to chime in here, because this is something that I think that we shouldn't slide over this one for a moment, right? So I just want to, for all of our listeners there, I just want to take a minute because what we're kind of touching on here is that no matter who you're listening to, there's that next level of development, and you can get there with a mentor, right? And I'm hearing that in Anthony, I'm hearing that in you, Karin, and I've certainly experienced it. It's been like one of the guiding mechanisms in my life, and I know that in the future, where society as a whole, because information becomes more and more available, will be more and more mentor based, because that's the experience that sandwiches information, right? And then the other thing that I'm hearing too is this understanding about the relationship that you have with your perception of time as it relates to your entire life, right? And I think it's something like, by the time you're 21, you've spent 95% or 98% of the hours that you are ever spend with your parents collectively ever, right? And we look there and we say, well, what's happening to my parents, and how many laughs do we have left with them, and then there's this layer of who am I, and what is that fullest self-expression of who I'm meant to be, and how can I live into that, and am I willing to bet on myself, or am I just betting against myself with my actions on a very practical level, and how much life am I excited to wake up in the morning, or am I not? And I also think that there's this moment that I've come to, and maybe you guys can relate to this. Inside of that perception, like if we're looking at this through multiple lenses here, and you're looking at your life, and it was kind of like that moment when I turned 33, and I said, my God, I'm pretty sure that that a third of this thing is over, at least, right? A third of it, and then I thought to myself, now this is different. At first I was like, oh, and I felt, but then I kind of was like, man, I got this. Like, I mean, like those people that are like older than me, they've only lived twice as long, like I can't, like there's some level of like, okay, I think like when we're first starting out, there's this phase of looking out there and feeling like, I'm going to learn some hidden secret about this living thing. And then you live life as if you're in some sort of deficit of the secret of life. And I think at least recently I've kind of come to this place where I'm like, whoo, this is, I think I kind of got this shit. And I should really own that I've got it, and that I'm not going to just find the secret to life, that I can create my own happiness, and I should feel free to do that. What do you guys think on that one?
Love it. Love it.
Yeah. And then I think like, so that's one that I feel like I've personally taken on recently, like, wow, all right, I've got this. Yeah.
I think a lot changed for me when I stopped, when I started realizing, what do I define as success? Because I realized it depended on the group that I was with, right? So like at work, I defined success as titles and things, because that's what everybody looked for. Like, that's how people judged you. But in my personal circle, my my friends couldn't give two shits, excuse my language, but what my title is. They're like, I don't care. You're Karin. We grew up with you. We know you. We remember that time you got in a fight at a bar or like whatever. You know?
Yeah, we don't even know what your title means. You know,
right? Exactly. They don't care. And so then I was like, you know, once you start figuring out, all right, this is what success means for me. And I remember my husband had the most beautiful purpose. I was like, well, I don't get it. Like I'm confused about my purpose. Like, I don't even know why I'm here. Like I literally said, I don't know why I'm here. And he was like, I do. And I was like, you do? Well, tell me. I'm like, maybe I can use your purpose to be my purpose. I don't know. I was like grasping at straws. And he was like, no,
I borrow your purpose.
Oh my God, right? Seriously. I'll give it back when I figure out mine, but just let me have it for a little bit. And it was literally to raise our children to be better off than he was and to create these memories with them. And I can't remember the exact wording, but it was basically to that effect. And I just remember thinking like, that's the most beautiful purpose I've ever heard. Like, that's so touching. What a wonderful father. I'm so glad I married you. Like, and I was like overcome with emotion. And then I was like, I still don't know what my purpose is. Like, I don't, you know, and I was that didn't work. Yeah. So, I mean, I had more work to do. And, you know, now I think my purpose is to help other women, find their purpose, right? And to really live this life of service to help others experience and go through what I went through and come out on the other side, you know, more confident, more self-expressed, and just truly living the life that they were meant to live. That gets me excited. That gets me out of bed in the morning.
Yeah, and you know, and one of the things, and I love that, by the way, Karin, and I would say, like, you know, I for those of you guys that are watching, you can see that Karin exemplifies self-expression. I mean, that one of the you exemplify self-expression, and I think that's something that you can learn. That's something that can be passed on. It's something, and I think there's a level of fearlessness that goes with that, and especially I mean, look, we get at the ins and outs of My Vagina. It's a great context, but it's a bit of marketing brilliance too. I mean, it really is. That's marketing brilliance right there. That's the greatest hook. But I think that like, I would say that we don't really know ourselves until we've lived full out enough to be carefree to live that fully. You know, like, what is a message? And I would argue, everyone that's listening, like, what is a message that you want to bring into the world? What is your why? Why are you getting up in the morning? What is that going to look like for you? And if you don't have that, you know, then they owe it to themselves to reach out to somebody like you, Karin, or somebody that's out there that helps pull that information out in a way in which you can see it. Because it's all there. Everybody's got one.
Yes.
It's just holding up the right kind of mirror. For me, I know that mine is, you know, we have this thing. If you see True Living, redefine your life. Right. And I thought about taking out the re because I felt like it was like, but I think what happens is we have the present moment. Right. And we're all inside this gorgeous present moment. It's full. It doesn't lack anything. I mean, you know, right where you are. You have the opportunity to sit inside of a great state of being, or you could choose to you know, project that there's some sort of deficit in the moment. And either way, you're choosing that. Right. Yeah. And I think, like, from there, we then say, well, we have this definition. And that was one of the things that you hit on, like the definition. The definition of what we're doing right now is what we live into. You know, we live into that. Are we, you know, what does that look like? And so one of the things that I love about your book is that it is a journey through corporate America. It's a journey through what it means to be in corporate America, what it means to be a woman, what society tells you are versus who you are underneath on the inside of that. It's funny, it's catching, it's really a masterpiece that I believe allows women to see themselves inside of the story and kind of gives them the edge to just have that reflection of, you know, who am I and how am I going to define my future and purpose?
Yeah. And I would say, I mean, this book looks at far more than corporate America. This starts from back when I am 5 years old, and it goes all the way through to now. So, I mean, it really looks at everything. And, you know, from acting and moving down to Florida and like packing up the car and going to be, you know, follow my dreams and, you know, to having babies. And, you know, I always joke, like, because I love the shock factor. I just love to be like, oh, my book's about my vagina. But it's about so much more than that. You know, it really is about this whole journey that you go through. And, you know, like the embarrassing shit that happens to you when you have your first period and like all these things that women experience and they feel ashamed and embarrassed and uncomfortable. You know, you have a medical issue. You don't want to tell anyone. You think you're a freak or you're dysfunctional and you keep these things hidden. And so if I can just help one young woman or girl or whatever to feel like, oh, wow, I'm not alone, I've done my job.
Absolutely.
That's excellent.
One of the biggest things that, you know, we fell in love with you with, both my wife and I, when, you know, we met you through Gary, was that, you know, you were so real, you're so authentic, you're so vulnerable, and you're so funny, right? And you're so relatable and you're so real. Like the video that you made the other day, and I encourage everybody, Karin, you're going to give all your links and everything, you know, at the end of the show, but follow her on Instagram. You made that video talking about why women to this day still like pee on a test strip, you know, to see if they're pregnant. And it's like all these like technologies. We've been on the moon for what, 1960s, what, 80 years now, basically, right? 70, 80 years. And yet women still pee on a test strip. And like, you know, my wife's like, yeah, that's like true. That's so like, yeah, that's true. And people love it. And people, you know, I always say, you know, how do you captivate someone? You educate them, right, in an entertainer way, in an elevational space, right? And you encapsulate all three of those E's that I speak about. And it's awesome, you know.
Love you guys. Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Now, so Karin, I got to ask, now that the book is, when will it be released? And from what I understand, you're also looking at a movie now, correct?
Well, TV show, but yes. So the book is probably slated for fall of 2021. If I'm realistic, I would love to get it out in the spring, but I don't know if that's going to happen. But yeah, through obviously Anthony and Gary and, you know, the great connections that these guys have, they were speaking with a producer to talk about turning it into a TV show. So I think it could really pop. It's just, it is, to your point,
no
so
pun intended,
relatable.
by the way.
Yeah.
No pun intended. You throw it out there, girl. You throw up the alley and we got to oop it in. You know what I'm saying?
You have to. Come on, it's right there for you. I would be disappointed if you didn't.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. And Mike, can I share that process with so Gary? First of all, Gary, you got to know Gary, right? We all love Gary. And Gary, it's so funny, and he chuckles like a schoolgirl every time he says the ins and outs of my vagina. He's, you know, it's so funny, you know, watching him just like,
you know.
and you know Gary, right? We've had Gary on the show. Watching him speak about this, he's this very polished gentleman. You know, I joke around and, you know, and I always say he's a very white individual. You know, he's very like, you know, like, you know, and polo shirts and, you know, and we love Gary. And he talks about this and he's so funny, you know, and so he gets over the vignettes, right, of you know, these little synopsis of some of these episodes, right? Because it's an episodic TV show. This is what we're looking towards. And we get it to one of our dear friends in Hollywood who's really, really just from the Zoom call we had with him, absolutely excited to really, you know, see what's there and love the concept, the whole deal. And we kind of sell it, right, as, right, the Wonder Years meets Jane the Virgin meets Sex in the City, right? Instead of the conscience that Kevin has from, you know, Daniel Stern, it's like with you, it's like your vagina is the conscience, V, the character.
Wait, what was that? What was that one with Jiminy Cricket?
Yep, pretty much.
Vagina of Jiminy Cricket.
Yep.
I love it. Sorry, I didn't mean to derail that.
No, it's cool. It's totally cool. You're talking about Jiminy Cricket. You're talking about Pinocchio, who's my great grandfather. If you've ever seen my news, that's another story. Yeah. So my wife is reading this. Everyone in the background's laughing. We have a full house. You know, my wife is reading this and she's reading it out loud, and she's cracking up, and I'm laughing. And they're true stories that like every girl goes through, right? You know, to some degree. And then there's some that are also true that every girl wished they went through, but you know, the whole kitchen sink breaking in the bathroom, but we'll talk about that later, Karin. Very interesting story about her college days, but it's so funny. And you're like, how is this not like a TV show like 20 years ago, right? There's no way that this cannot be an episodic show. It's so funny. Karin is such like a personality, and it's amazing. And it touches on real life issues. She's real, she's authentic, she's vulnerable. I'll say it again. I can't wait till not only the book comes out until it, you know, the TV show gets picked up as well.
Now, for Karin, is there any way, from what I understand, we have the opportunity to download some chapterage or a little bit there?
Yeah,
right?
there is an excerpt from one of my chapters. It's in part 3 of the book. So the book has 8 parts. So it's a little ways in, but it's from my college days. And so you can check that out on my website.
All right. Can you share your website for us?
Sure. I don't know. Is there somewhere to type it? But it's just KarinFreeland.com. So KarinFreeland.com. And then when you go on there across the top, there'll be something that says my memoir, and you can click on that. And that will give you the link to download.
Excellent. Excellent. So I'm very excited about that. I think that's everybody. If you guys are out there, you owe it to yourself to go read something that's going to enlighten you and make you laugh and really pull out that self-expression.
Definitely.
So what does your future look like now? Where do you feel like you're headed over the course of the next 6 months, year with the book and just with your coaching practice? I mean, how do you view yourself spending your time?
Yeah, absolutely. So I like to think of it as a life by design now, right? Like I am doing things on my terms for the first time in a long time. And so, a lot of my day is spent writing and finishing out the book. Most of it's written. We have a couple of chapters left to go, but now it's just the editing process. So we should be done with that by the end of the year. I am doing a little bit of motivational speaking as well. I would love to get out there and get out to more audiences because I just think there's so much I can share with women to give them the confidence to make a change. I mean, if I can do it, if I can leave B2B marketing and a 6-figure income and find something else to do, like anyone can do it. It's totally attainable and you're totally capable of doing it. So I'd love to do some more of that. And really just focusing on my clients and making sure that they have what they need to make these changes. That was one of the reasons I got into coaching, was because I love the speaking, but it didn't feel like it was enough. Like it was great to go out and motivate everyone. Then I was like, no, but I want to help them get from A to Z. Like I want to be there and really see the fruits of my labor and watch this transformation happen, because that gets me really excited. So yeah, and spending time with family. One of the things that I have loved the most about the whole situation is actually being able to take my kids to school now and pick them up and not have to send them to aftercare, and just spending more time with them. And, they're 9 and 10, like they're not going to be in the house that many more years. So go back to your 98% of the time with your parents will have been spent, right?
Yeah.
By the time you're 21, it's like, oh my gosh, like I can't believe I even have a 10-year-old. Where'd the time go? So I'm really, really enjoying that.
Love that. What my one mentor is here. I get my first mentor. You hear me talk a lot about him. I was a quiet, shy kid, and he took me, and I don't shut up, right? He was just sharing earlier, right before the broadcast. Success is loving what you're doing and doing what you love, right? So it seems like that's what you're doing now. So you're living your purpose, and now you're taking that gift and you're enriching others and blessing others with that as well. So cool.
Isn't that so exciting? That's so exciting. I love that.
Heck yeah,
totally
girl.
beats my old life.
I know. Well, you had a pretty wild life before, but it was, we read some. No, I'm kidding.
No, that is true. That is true.
Yeah. Well, people are going to need to tune in to learn more about that, huh? We can't give them away all the secrets,
right.
all the juicy
Can't give away all the juicy details.
I will
we don't
never
leave
look
much
at a
to the
kitchen
imagination.
Sink. Yeah, I would never look at a kitchen sink the same way again. The second time I mentioned that this time.
That's his favorite story, I think, is the kitchen sink. Or it wasn't the kitchen sink, it was the bathroom sink.
Yeah. Right. You got to sometimes swap. You got to switch up. You got to swap sinks sometimes.
I think you were on the kitchen sink.
Well, sometimes you got to improvise, call an audible. So.
So if you're there watching this show right now, we'd love to hear about your kitchen story. Go ahead, drop it in the chat. Where was the wildest place that you had sex? What was that like for you? Make sure you drop it in the chat.
You just came out and said it, talking about true loving.
My mom's
true living or true loving? What is this called?
She's out there. She's like, I thought every Sunday I made him go to church, and this is no.
Oh, you should have seen me when I had to call my mom and tell her, because I was like, I can't just put this out on Facebook that I'm writing this book. So I had to call her and my dad, and they put me on speakerphone. And I was like, well, are you sitting down? She's like, no, but I have some wine. I'm like, of course you have wine. I'm like, good, you're going to need it. So then I have to like explain this. And she just like burst out laughing. And the first question was, am I in the book? And I was like,
Wow.
well, no, not like that. But I was like, you have to be in the book. You're my mom. Of course you're in the book. But she's
There's
like,
a mention.
what about me is in this book? I'm like, it's fine.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. That's so funny. Well, it's
Yeah.
so cool because you took a very taboo subject, especially just to be real. All right, just to be real, a taboo subject that guys have talked about for a really long time, and that was okay. And
Right.
and now you are, right? It's like, why is it okay for a guy to talk about another girl, right? So it's like it's not okay, right? And here you are bringing it to the forefront, 2020. I think the timing's impeccable for this.
Yeah. And let me just say one more thing, because people automatically assume so many things about when I tell that I'm writing this book, right? Oh, she must have an open marriage, or maybe they're swingers, or she must be a slut, or like, all these like really negative connotations. Well, not, I guess, I mean, you all do you, whatever you find works for you, but like things that I would be like, really? That's what you think of me? And it's not the case. I mean, like, I go to church every Sunday. I listen to country music. Like, I love busting those little boxes that people like to put each other in. This isn't something that's like raunchy for raunchy's sake. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there are some parts in the book that are very descriptive about what was happening, but it's all because it belongs there for a reason, right? There's a point to it, and it's not just gratuitous for the sake of being gratuitous. So right. I just like to throw that out there because I think people automatically assume certain things about someone when you bring up this subject.
Yeah. It's not 50 Shades of Freeland.
No.
Well, I think what's an interesting topic that you just hit up on is just breaking down that cultural barrier of talking about your vagina and my penis or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, and just to be able to be inside of an environment where that's a conversation that can be had. Because I think that, if you were to look at the other side of this, I mean, how many people are walking around with shame, or they won't even speak to their parents about things, or, and the turmoil that causes, Yep. So kudos for breaking down that cultural barrier to be able to be here with two men, and a woman. Like most, in other countries, they'd be like, what?
Yeah.
Where here we really have the opportunity to live fully self-expressed and to be able to go in any place where we feel authentically we have the opportunity to provide value and contribute to other people's lives.
Love that.
Yeah. So what do you guys think?
Love it. Oh man, what about you, Facebook? You in?
Yep, Facebook's in. Are you in or you out?
To the person, yeah, exactly. Mike says that all the time, which is funny, and it so fits you because that's the name of your book and your whole brand. The person I've always wanted to be. No, I love that. Yeah, you being a self-expression coach, I love that. So I love to hear just maybe a little bit more us being, basically a platform of coaching in many different formats here. Mm-hmm. What do you actually help, not just women, but people in general to do? The title obviously is self-explanatory, but maybe you can touch on that just a tad bit more.
Yeah. And I always like to say no two coaching experiences are the same, because everybody has different dreams, goals, or things that they want to work on. So I really try to customize it for every single client. Like I have one girl right now, she's trying to figure out what she wants to do with her career, and she's got 2 job offers on the table. Turns out she actually would rather go be a doula. And I was like, what? Where did this come from? I was like, okay, we got a new path for you. Like, let's chart a path to that. It doesn't mean it has to happen tomorrow, right? Because, you don't want to get overwhelmed thinking like, oh, I'm just going to up and leave my job and all of a sudden become a doula. No, but if that's your ultimate passion and that's your purpose, we got to get you there. And we're going to chart a path to get you to that area. I have other people that are working on things like, weight loss or bad habits that they're trying to break, smoking, whatever, right? I just help them really be accountable and remember who they are. What is the life that they really want to live? And what does that look like? What are the things that are preventing you from getting there? Let's break that stuff down and get you there faster.
I love that. I love
that.
I love
because
that.
I think so often we just, we just don't know what we truly want. And then when you just have someone there that you can be totally unapologetically yourself with, they know I'm not judging them. I don't have some preconceived belief system that I'm pushing on them, or, expectations of them. They can just truly open up and share some of their deepest desires that they've never communicated to anyone else in their life because they're so afraid of what someone else is going to think.
True. Very true. Yeah. One of our good friends, my friend Forbes Raleigh, she has a whole course, permission granted, she talks about, right? Who do you have to ask permission for, right? To go live the best life that you've always wanted to be and be that person, and then so many times we feel like we need permission. And Mike, you're one of the best in the world at that. Mike is, for those that don't know, Mike's a neurosomatic coach, but he really is able to truly understand, probably better than any human being I've ever met, why we do what we do from a neurolinguistic standpoint, a neurological level, neurosynaptic level, and be able to, in essence, help rewire, reframe, and anchor in what we call it in NLP, stories that don't serve you, and, swap them for stories that do. So that's what I know True Living was really based on and founded on, helping people to live their true, authentic life, So I love it. I think, Karin, you're right in line with the mission here. This is so cool. What do you think, Mike?
I think that people owe it to themselves to come and join Karin on the Zooms on Wednesdays when she can make it, right? I know that you're not. I think I've been there all the time though. But I also think that they owe it to themselves. If you guys owe it to yourself to reach out to Karin, she's a phenomenal human being. And you can see that like very clearly, Karin, you're out to make a difference in the world, and any support that we could give you in that mission. And that's what we're doing, right? We're supporting you in that mission. I think, but I think like, I think that there's two things. One, I think that we need to acknowledge that being out there and doing the work, it's fun and it's worth it and it's work, right?
Yeah, it is work.
Yep,
no doubt.
Is work. It is work.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is I think we need to play a violin, probably the world's smallest violin, but a violin for the people that are out there that are like, man, I'm listening to this and maybe it's falling on deaf ears or whatever. And then tomorrow you're going to wake up and you're going to go do the same shit you did yesterday over and over and over and over again. And you wouldn't have heard that there's an opportunity here that like sometimes it's just as simple as reaching out, doing that first thing. Maybe it's like, man, this is a book. I want to read the book. Let me check out the chapter, or let me touch base with Karin, or let me show up on a call, or whatever that may look like for you. I hope that you're listening to this and that this is the ringing of the bell, that you're hearing the bell and you're looking at your life and you're saying, this is an opportunity for me to begin to inspire some change. Who am I and what am I supposed to be doing? And I think that as long as that, if you're questioning that at all, then this is the place. These are the people that you want to be involved with.
Yes. No more Walking Dead.
Yeah.
We're going to live this life.
Yeah, right. And I think, and Karin, I want to give you props because, man, that is a mad dash from where you were 8 months ago, typing in at a computer, and to where you are today. I mean, talk about total transformation.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel like work. That's the thing that I always say. It's like I love it. I stay up sometimes just writing till 11:30 or updating my website or whatever. And it doesn't feel like work because I love it.
Mm-hmm. And Mike, if I could just real quick throw right there, that was so critical. If you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. We've heard that right before. If you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. And if you find something you love and you're good at it and you find a way to monetize it, right? It's like Gary Vee always says, it's like we all suck at 97% of things, but there's 1, 2, maybe 3 that we're good at. Quadruple down on what you're good at, right? And leverage, delegate the rest out. But if those two match, right, like something that you love and you're good at and you can, apply it in a monetizable fashion, that's your Dharma right there. That is it. Yeah. And that's what you help people to find out, right?
And it's not reserved for the special few, because that's what I thought. For the longest time, I saw people who were doing this and I'm like, yeah, that's because you're a singer, or that's because you do this. That's not for me. It's not for people like me. Oh, I was wrong. It is absolutely for people like me. It is for people like you listening. It's for everyone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's your ability to literally author who you are, not from a place of trying to create something that isn't there. It's like removing what isn't. It's like, Michelangelo is asked how he created David, which is a beautiful marble statue, and he said, "I took a piece of marble and removed what wasn't David." So in the least, if you're listening, you owe it to yourself to take a look at your life, some area of your life in which you feel inauthentic or out of integrity, or just feel like something's got to change here. Identify that area, and if you want to share it with us, that's great. If not, make a personal commitment. Make the choice today to change that area of your life. Just make a choice today to bet on yourself, like Karin has, like Anthony has, like I have. Bet on yourself, because the jackpot that's at the end of that bet, like, it's one you get every time. You win every time when you do that. So I think I feel complete, guys. I don't know. I mean, is there a bell? Like, come on, hey, come on! What are you? Make me reach through, strangle you for not taking action. No.
Yep.
So in a recap, Karin, first of all, thank you so much for joining us this evening. It really has been an honor to spend time with you today. I'm super excited to check out your book when it's released. I'm excited to download that chapter and take another read through it. It's on your website, KarinFreeland.com. I am excited to check out your show, because I know that that Jiminy Cricket meeting of Vagina, and that's a great concept. And I'm excited to hear from all of you guys that are listening today, that are out there doing the work of transforming your life. How can we serve you? How can we bring your mission into the world? And thank you so much for being part of the True Living Tribe. Guys, anything you want to say? I think there's one last question you have to ask here, Anthony.
Yes. So Karin, what does it mean? I thought I forgot, to be honest. Karin, what does it mean to you to live true?
Good question. No more people pleasing, really knowing what I define as success and what my values are, and doing everything I can to move me closer to that purpose every single day of my life.
Woo! Woo!
Good, girl.
All right, guys. Thank you for watching. Again, welcome to the True Living Tribe. Welcome to the True Living Show. Karin, thank you so much for being here. It's really been an honor. Anthony, thank you for helping me host this show. And you guys, make sure it isn't going to happen unless you take action. On 3, ready? 1, 2, 3. Live
true. Woo!
I love it.